don't really know what to say, really, other than hats off to Middlesbrough. Hello everybody, it's Ian here once again from OUFC Fan View, and it's time to do another review of another Oxford United game. Today, Oxford were at home to Middlesbrough. So it was nice to be back after the international break, but this was certainly looking like it was going to be a tough test for Oxford United. Middlesbrough had played themselves into a little bit of form, some very good form in fact, before the international break. I was hoping that international break might have knocked them out of their stride a little bit, but unfortunately, it certainly did not. Credit to Middlesbrough and their fans for today's performance, and the bit that will probably have them laughing and spitting their tea out when they're watching this is the fact that I actually thought Oxford did all right at times today, and I've actually seen Oxford play a lot worse than this season, but it was a very clinical and a very ruthless performance from Middlesbrough today. Close your eyes and close your ears, Oxford fans, because it got ugly at the Kassam today. It finished Oxford United 2, Middlesbrough 6.
Stop! He's already dead!
And as much as it pains me to do it, we'll do what we usually do on this channel. I'll go over the team news, I'll go over the game, highlighting the key moments that happened, and then I'll give my final thoughts for both clubs at the end of the video. If you just want to jump to the end of the video and see the final thoughts, that's absolutely fine, not a problem at all. You can use the timestamps down below. But if you do, and bear in mind, I'm a struggling Oxford fan at the moment, and I really need these likes. Please hit that like button. It's the least you can do. Ease my pain. And if you do like the content on this channel, consider subscribing. But it isn't all doom and gloom, Oxford fans, and there are some positives, and I'll go over it at the end of the video. But let's start with the team news for Oxford United. And Des Buckingham continued with the wing-back system, and I was happy to see him do this. But the big news was, of course, the return of Cameron Brannigan in midfield, who has been a huge miss since he's been injured for Oxford United. Branners goes into that heart of midfield alongside Will Vaux. Hida Terevest starts in the wing-back role because Peter Kioso was taken ill whilst on international duty. Ruben Rodriguez comes back into an attacking midfield role instead of Idris El Mazouni, but the one I can't believe is that Mark Harris gets a start up front instead of Dane Scarlett. But whilst there were no defenders on the bench for Oxford United, we did have some returning attacking options with Matty Phillips and Shemi Paheta finally returning from injury to add some power and firepower from the bench. Let's move on to the visitors then, and Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough side started the day in 7th place, but as I said at the start of the video, they hit some red-hot form just before that international break with big wins over Cardiff and Luton, and unfortunately now a big win over Oxford. But Middlesbrough were hit by some injuries though, and they had to make 4 changes for this game. Goalkeeper Sol Bryn came in for Sonny Dieng, who was ill, but other than that, it was Borges, Howson and Barlaser coming in for Jigsteel, probably saying that wrong. Let me know how to say it down below. Morris and Hackney going out of the side as well. Hackney and Morris, a big loss in midfield for Middlesbrough, both of them getting injured on international duty, but there is still plenty of attacking prowess in this side. Azaz has been immense so far this season. Emmanuel Latte Lath has hit some form before that international break, and Ben Doak is kind of the talk of world football at the moment and has been electric for both club and country in the last few weeks. So let's move on to the game now, and this was actually a good game of football. It was an enjoyable game of football as well, and in the first half in particular, where both sides were in the game. 7 minutes on the clock, and you'd probably say Boro were the more dangerous of the two sides in these early stages. Bergzog having a dangerous early run. He got into the area on the Oxford right. Latte Lath turned well in the box, got his shot away, but it was quite easy for Jamie Cumming. But a minute later, it was Oxford who had their first shot on target. The ball came out to Cameron Brannigan on the edge of the box, and Cameron Brannigan doesn't need a second invitation to shoot, and it was a decent effort in slick and difficult conditions for goalkeepers, and it forced Bryn to push it behind for a corner. One thing in this game, Middlesbrough were devastating on the counter-attack, and on 12 minutes we kind of got the first indication of that as a Middlesbrough counter again saw Bergzog just maraud down that Middlesbrough right-hand side. Again, it was worked into Latte Lath in the area. It was quite close, but it was a good effort, and it forced Jamie Cumming to make a pretty smart reaction save to push it behind for a Middlesbrough corner. 18 minutes on the clock, and Boro, after a long spell of possession, got Doak into the game game pretty much for the first time. He got the better of Gregg Leigh and he flashed a dangerous ball across the 6-yard box. And Sam Long actually did really well to hook the ball almost from under his own crossbar behind for a corner. But just 5 minutes later, the game turned on its head because Oxford took the lead. And Oxford took the lead from a bloody set piece. Unbelievable stuff considering how bad the quality was from our set pieces against Watford. Talk about the corner before it first, because that led to the second corner where Oxford scored from. Bit of a scramble in the box. Gregg Leigh did superbly well to overhead kick the ball back into play, and it gave a chance to Sam Long. It was a stooping header, and Bryn had to tip it over the bar. But it was that second corner where Oxford scored from. It was Goodrum on corner duty today, and that did make a big difference. Deep corner to the back post. Elliot Moore did really well at the back post to get a foot on it and guide it back across goal into the 6-yard box. Gregg Leigh, unmarked, tucks it home. Oxford United in the lead. And yes, you would have expected Boro to then try to push to get back into the game. And they certainly did. But they were struggling, I would say, for the next 10 minutes or so to really break Oxford down. Oxford had a pretty good defensive shape. And whilst they were having possession, they weren't really creating anything clear cut. And Oxford themselves were looking decent as well. It wasn't as if Oxford were hemmed in. We were still able to nick the ball off Boro a few times and start attacks of our own. It had a little bit of a feel of the Norwich game on the opening day of the season, and literally just as I was about to write that down, Middlesbrough got a penalty. Oxford overcommitted on the left-hand side. Gregg Leigh stretching for a ball, just couldn't get there, and it meant Doak was free to run at Kieran Brown for the first time, and it really was no contest as he breezed past Kieran Brown with ease. He got into the penalty area. He was quite a narrow angle though, and Elliot Moore felt he had to come in and make a giant slide, last-ditch effort tackle to try and stop the danger. He got to Doak just as Doak shot wide, but as Doak shot, Elliot Moore certainly did follow through and catch the Middlesbrough winger. It's one of those ones though that you see quite often defenders get away with, where the strikers had the shot, it's gone wide or Cumming tipped it wide, I can't quite remember. But Moore did foul Doak. He did. You can't argue with that. He did come across. There was contact. It's just something you do normally. I say normally. It's not that that's right, but you do get away with that more often than not. But this time we didn't. Referee pointed to the spot. Probably was the correct decision. Latte Lath made no mistake sending Cumming the wrong way. And we were all square. But this wasn't the end of the action in the first half, and in many ways it was just getting started. And Oxford had a decent response to getting pegged back to 1-1 and actually had a couple of good efforts, decent, very good chances in fact, to go 2-1 up. And it's the Mark Harris conundrum again, isn't it, Oxford United fans? He's just out of form and nothing's running his way. But it was him. The chances fell to him first of all. 40 minutes on the clock. Lovely ball through from Ruben Rodriguez, like the playoff final where he played it through to Josh Murphy. Harris was through on goal. He tried to nip round Sol Bryn. It was the right thing to do to try and go round the keeper. But Bryn, to his credit, did really well to get a hand on the ball and get the danger away. But Oxford did win the ball back literally from the restart in a dangerous area, and it fell to Harris on the edge of the box, and Harris did take a snapshot. Not a bad effort from Sparky, but it was pretty easy for the keeper to save. But it's just, once again, Harris just can't find the back of the net. And you have to come back to say, was it the right decision to start him? And Middlesbrough made Oxford pay for not taking that chance as they took the lead just a minute later. Again, Oxford overcommitting. This time it was on the other side of the pitch, and it was Sam Long who just couldn't get to the ball. And it meant Bergzog was running down that left hand at Middlesbrough left, that Oxford right. He found Finn Azaz on about the edge of the box. It was through the legs of Elliot Moore and into the back of the net from Azaz. Nice finish into the bottom corner, but I have to say it wasn't the hardest hit shot in the world, and I do feel Jamie Cumming will feel he could have saved it. But this is where Middlesbrough turned the screw and were devastating and lethal. And just a couple of minutes later, they weren't resting on their laurels at 2-1, and they made it 3-1. And already that felt like it was game over. Oxford losing the ball in a bad area again, and Middlesbrough made Oxford pay. Azaz playing a nice little through ball through to Latte Lath, who was always on the last man. Oxford thinking it was offside, trying to push up to play offside. I've seen replays of it. He wasn't. He was onside. As much as we moaned and we complained and we booed, it was onside, and it was a calm finish by Latte Lath to make it 3-1. The tale of two strikers, one in form, one out of form, and Middlesbrough very comfortable at this point. And nearly made it 4-1 just a minute later as the time ticked into injury time. Bergzog getting in behind, smashed an effort goalwards, and it's either a good save from Cumming or it's hit the bar and gone wide. But Oxford quite lucky not to be 4-1 down at the break. But as it was 3-1 to Middlesbrough, and what a say, if you're a neutral, what an action-packed half of football that was. I actually thought Oxford looked all right in this game. I don't think we deserved necessarily to be 3-1 down, but Middlesbrough's pace up front made a huge difference. Bergzog and Doak full of running on the wings, looking a constant threat, and the first two goals really took advantage from Oxford just over-committing with the ball in midfield, and it allowed those wingers to get away. Look, and you can't really argue with Oxford doing that. It's risk-reward. You have to try and push and press and win the ball back. And if we would have won the ball back, which we did sometimes, it meant we could have started an attack. But Middlesbrough just won those balls, and it meant they were getting through on goal with a head of steam. But I would say Oxford were creating chances, so maybe it's not over yet. Maybe. Just 3 minutes into the second half, and if it wasn't over at half-time, it felt like it almost certainly, definitely was over, as Middlesbrough do make it 4-1. Oxford once again losing the ball in midfield, and a dinked ball over the top from Azaz, and Latte Lath is through on goal. He's into a little bit of space, and he makes no mistake with his finish. It's a drilled finish, no chance for Jamie Cumming. A hat-trick for Emmanuel Latte Lath. My goodness, this guy is in red hot form. Oxford needed to make changes, and Buckingham did make some changes. Elliot Moore came off and Mark Harris came off for Dane Scarlett and Shemi Plaheta. Good to see Plaheta back. It's been a long time. And Oxford went to 4 at the back as well. But as you can imagine, this game, as Middlesbrough went 4-1 up, this game did sort of go into a bit of a snail's pace. Middlesbrough were in real control, and they were easing their way to victory, and you felt they weren't really exerting themselves too much, but they were still creating chances, and it was almost 5 with Azaz with some quick feet on 56 minutes on the right-hand side of the penalty area. He fired in a cross, low cross. Someone really should have put it in. A Boro player at the back post. Can't remember which one it was. Couldn't turn it home. And Oxford breathed a huge sigh of relief. But Oxford still were creating the odd chance here and there. For 60 minutes, again, the quality of set pieces was much better. Today, it was a corner again. Deep corner. Gregg Leigh brings it down, plays it out to Cameron Brannigan. Brannigan with a fantastic effort, a smashed effort, which is heading for the top corner. But Solbrin makes an excellent save to tip it onto the bar, and it goes behind. Oxford make another change. It's another return from injury for Matt Phillips. Hopefully, he can stay injury-free. I think he can be a big player for Oxford United. And 71 minutes on the clock, and Oxford did have a glimmer of hope. They won the ball back in the middle when Tyler Goodrum got a little bit of space, turned into space really well actually, and drove forward, laid it into Dane Scarlett, and Dane Scarlett does what Dane Scarlett has been doing lately, and that is just getting half a yard of space and smashing it into the back of the net. He's in great form for club and country now, Dane Scarlett, and it gave Oxford a lifeline in this game. 4 goals now for the Great Dane. It certainly woke the crowd up, and it gave Oxford a glimmer of hope, as I said, as they pushed for hopefully maybe trying to get a third, see if they can set up a grandstand finish. You felt like there were more goals in this game, but it did feel just as likely that they would come for the visitors as they would come for Oxford. Azaz being a menace once again, his quick feet on the edge of the box, and he fired in a shot which hit the post and went wide. And just 5 minutes later, 80 minutes, Boro got their 5th goal. And it was Conway in off the bench on the edge of the area, worked back to the middle of the goal to create that shooting chance. It's fired through a bunch of players low into the bottom corner. An ugly goal for Oxford to concede. Good finish from Conway, take nothing away from him. But from an Oxford point of view, you feel one of those players should have got a block on the ball, and Jamie Cumming probably saw it late, but it did feel like he was quite slow to react. And unfortunately, it got really ugly just 2 minutes later as Boro made it 6. A ball into the box, poorly cleared by Gregg Leigh this time, came out to Azaz on the edge of the box, and he was excellent all day, and he fired it in for his second goal into the back of the net to make it 6-2. Really ugly. There could have been more. Oxford, again, they had a couple of glimmers at the end as well. There could have been more goals in this game. I think we were all quite thankful that the referee blew the whistle, because it was, a punishing afternoon. One that we haven't had in the Championship so far. And we want to quickly forget it as we move on to, oh, bloody hell, Sheffield United next game. And that brings me on to my final thoughts, and let's start with the visitors. And look, full of praise. Congratulations, Middlesbrough. Your fans were fantastic. You came in great numbers, you came in great voice, and your team certainly delivered. The pace of your forward players, Oxford just could not live with them. Bergsog and Doak on the wings. I thought Latte Lath, the way he played on the last man, was always really dangerous. Always looked like he was going to get in behind. It gave Azaz so much license when he got on the ball to just pull the strings and create things to happen. And you just looked so dangerous going forward. When you really turned it on, Oxford couldn't live with you. I thought when Oxford actually were in their defensive shape, I thought we were okay, but as soon as the game got stretched, you just completely ripped us apart. And you've got to be really excited with how this season potentially might look now moving forward. Now that you've hit that rich vein of form, it hasn't been a dip now after the international break. And hopefully you'll just be thinking that this is what's going to be the standard now, and you can kick on and have a really good run. Looking forward to hearing what you're saying, Middlesbrough. Look, feel free. You can write as many derogatory comments down below. That's absolutely fine. That's not a problem. But I would actually be interested to know your thoughts on the game, on the side that Michael Carrick's formed over the time he's been here, and whether you feel that you have got a chance of getting promoted this season, because you were excellent today, very, very dangerous, and right up there with the best sides we've seen, and that is the heaviest defeat we've suffered this season. And as I said, look, I've seen Oxford play worse than that this season as well, and you'll probably laugh at that comment and think Oxford were a poor side, but I don't think we were that poor today, but you were really good. So yeah, let me know down below, and good luck for the rest of the season. But let's move on to Oxford United now. And yeah, look, Oxford fans, this is a tough one to talk about, a tough defeat, a real punishing, bruising scoreline that hopefully is not going to batter everyone's confidence, both players and fans, moving forward. You have to just highlight again that when we play in these top-end Championship sides, we are going to struggle to compete with them, and there are going to be times where they are just going to take us to the cleaners. We kind of knew that was going to happen this season at times, but when it does happen, it's certainly not enjoyable to watch. It carries on like a barren run that we've been on, where we haven't really won many games or picked up many points in the last 10, 11 games, how many it's been. But we are still fighting. It's still relatively early days in the season. I'm still going to try and remain as positive as I can. It's certainly not doom and gloom, and certainly not time to like hit the panic button, I would say. And you're not going to expect that might not get better against Sheffield United on Tuesday, because we know they're an excellent side and they're right up at the top of the league. But hopefully after we get past that, despite Millwall being in an elevated position in the league, we might run into a few fixtures where we might be able to be a bit more competitive. But let's have a look at like formations and tactics, and I actually thought I was happy with the starting lineup apart from one position and one player, and I think we all know who that was. I can't believe Dane Scarlett didn't start this game. I like Mark Harris. Mark Harris still has an important role to play in this season. I have no doubt about that. But Dane Scarlett is in form. He's our in-form striker. He scored for England under 21 in the international break as well. Why are you not starting Dane Scarlett? He showed that he can score goals. He did it again today. And you feel, although you don't know, that if he'd have had that chance that Mark Harris had, he would have tucked it away in the back of the net. But you don't know that. You know, I'm speculating, but I just cannot believe that Des Buckingham has again not gone with the informed striker, and I hope that he doesn't play him on Tuesday, and then you expect Scarlett's going to be a game where he's living off scraps, and then he's out of the team again. You need to give him a run of games starting as the number 9, the main centre forward, and I think we all agree on that one. But that's kind of the misstep that Buckingham's made. Because I thought, other than that, I thought the team was pretty much bang on of what we needed to play. I thought we missed Peter Kioso a little bit on that right-hand side. I thought that there was times Hide Terravest, who still looked pretty good, was undone a little bit by the pace on Middlesbrough's flanks. Sometimes caught too high up position. Maybe Kioso would have been a bit more conservative, a bit better at dealing with Middlesbrough on that side. But I do think Gregg Leigh was excellent. I thought he was really good. I thought he defensively he was strong. Yeah, okay, 6th goal. Maybe it wasn't the strongest of clearances, but I thought overall he did really well up against Doak. Doak was always going to get the beating of him a couple of times, but Gregg Leigh was full of energy, got his goal, looked pretty dangerous when he was going forward as well. So for me, he was a big tick, Gregg Leigh, and they said on commentary that Ox really missed Joe Bennett. Not sure I quite agree with that, because I thought Leigh was really good. And again, the weird thing was, at times in this first half in particular, I thought Oxford were doing quite well. It actually reminded me quite a lot of the Norwich game, in the fact of like Oxford were quite happy to allow Norwich to have the ball, sitting in quite a nice compact shape, letting them have possession. Yes, they're going to have get into dangerous areas, but defending quite well and organised in our shape. But we were still nicking the ball back off them a few times and creating some chances, looking quite dangerous, looking quite opportunistic. And I think that's still the way we need to play against the majority of sides in this league, who, let's face it, have got more quality than us. But it was just, the game just hinged on that penalty decision that went against us, and then Middlesbrough just took advantage and were lethal and clinical, and Oxford just were a bit shot to pieces, really. But they did still keep going. The boys kept going. They kept pushing. They kept trying to make things happen. So it wasn't like a complete like throw the towel in performance. I think once again we just got completely undone by a side that is red hot, lethal and ruthless in front of goal at the moment. Set pieces were much better today, though. I thought Tyler Goodrum on set pieces, I thought he did a good job with them. Delivery was much better into the box today. Looked a lot more dangerous from set pieces, which was good to see. And I thought Tyler, again, was in and out of the game. I thought he was good at times, quite poor at times. Same with Rodriguez. I thought at least they tried to make things happen when they were on the ball, which was good. Brannigan, minutes in the legs. Plaheta, minutes in the legs. Phillips, minutes in the legs. These are all going to be important players for us, so it's good to see them back. Elliot Moore suspended for Tuesday night, though. That's going to be a big blow. But, you know, he's always going to get 5 bookings at some point. So we're going to miss Moore on Tuesday night. It's probably going to be Long and Brown at the back. It seems like Oxford are probably going to go back to 4 at the back. Maybe not. Maybe they'll play Terravest. Maybe they'll play Kioso in there. Who knows? Let me know what you think Oxford should do on that one. But we'll have more back for the Millwall game, which, again, you have to think that's more of a game where Oxford have got chances to pick up points. But you are worried overall that the confidence might be a little low in this side now. Confidence might be low within the fans now. It's been a barren run, as I said, and it's just when you get pumped at home, hammered at home like that, it's not good for anyone's confidence. So Oxford really need to do something try to get some sort of a result against Sheffield United, as hard as that's going to be, or at least a performance where we put in a spirited display so we can come away saying, okay, yeah, we're still fighting hard. Because I believe they are. I know some of you out there will be worried, and the confidence is certainly going to be ebbing away. But there are still winnable games out there as we move into December, starting with that Millwall one. And then I think we play Plymouth, Cardiff, the likes of Sheffield Wednesday, teams like that. Teams that we should be able to compete better with. But yeah, we'll move on to Sheffield United on Tuesday night. I'm actually going to the game. I don't go to many games, but I'm going to this one, and I live 2 miles from the ground, so I've got no excuse. Hopefully, it's not going to be another battering and a beating, because we don't need it, and I certainly don't need it for the stick I'll take at work. But hey-ho, maybe Oxford will produce something. Maybe it's time. Maybe we'll get that bit of luck. Maybe we'll get that penalty. Maybe we'll get a free own goal that'll fly in, or a couple of deflections will go into the back of the net, and our luck will turn a little bit. But it isn't going to be easy. It's going to be a tough game. I think you have to accept that it's likely that we're not going to get anything from it. But let me know, Oxford fans. I know it's tough, I know it's brutal, but try to get some kernels of positivity out there, because this is what we all wanted, right? Championship football. It's a bloody tough league. It is a really tough league. I'll be back to do a predictions video for the midweek games, probably coming out tomorrow, and then I'll do a review of that Sheffield United game. It'll probably be a much streamlined review because I won't be taking any notes on it because I don't do vlogs or anything like that when I'm in the ground. I hate all that jazz. But anyway, there'll be more content coming this week. Keep the faith, Oxford fans. Congratulations to you Middlesbrough fans. I think I'm going to go and have a little cry. Bye for now.